We are dancers from the New York City Ballet, preparing for performance. We are professionals, and ballet is our work. We want to show you why it is also an art and a great joy. Ballet requires subtle physical coordination, an intrinsic timing of the body, which must in turn adhere to the demands of musical timing. It requires immense muscular power, too, but not in one area alone, not in just one set of muscles. Watch these dancers warming up. The power thrust down through the leg is different from the power holding the hand and arm in delicate extension. Every part of the body must be working in separate and yet connecting ways, with different degrees of energy expended, still all for the same result. That discipline enables us to ride on the music, to move on it, above it, and in our own way, reveal it to you. It takes a lot of practice to make all of this happen. This is Jonna Kirkland. At 19, she is one of our most promising young dancers. Jonna describes herself as a high school dropout. As a child, she used to ride and ice skate, but she gave that up, along with her studies, in order to dance full time.
Mr. Villella,
did you read the thing over there? No. Turn around and that, you can't see it's carved.
Monty Morris agrees that life as a dancer takes almost all her time. She's been dancing seriously since she was 15, and now at 23 is a featured dancer of the company. But she still occasionally finds time to cook or go to the movies.
Huh?
how about a dog?
Stephen Carris, a soccer player in his New Jersey high school until someone persuaded him to try out for a part in a school production of Brigadoon. He's been dancing ever since, and now is in his second season with the New York City Ballet Company.
I can say.
These young dancers seem like other young people their age, with one big difference. They have tremendous interest in and dedication to dance. And as dancers, they have extended themselves physically far beyond the limits of most people. And where do they begin? We begin with a concern for form and line. And this means first thinking about the placement of the body. Each part of a dancer's body has to be arranged and placed. For instance, even when he is simply standing. Even a slight movement of the muscles can change the look and line of the body. From here, we begin to train and tone the muscles of our body, a special kind of training using exercises based on the principles of line, form, and placement. They're different from the exercises of the boxer, a little like the high jumper, more like the training of a gymnast. They involve stretching and pulling the muscles rather than developing brute strength and tension. Based on this kind of training with an understanding of placement and form, with disciplined and toned muscles, we can really begin to dance. Let's look at one moment out of that dance. What the still photograph shows is exactly what we have been talking about up until now. Technique, line, and form. But this to us is not yet dancing. It's only a few photographs. What goes on between them is dance. In a sense, the dancer moves from picture to picture, from position to position, but the real quality and excitement of dance is in the movement between. In order to do that leap, every part of the foot has to be working. It can't be bound. It can't be in a sneaker, for instance, or in a boxer's shoe. It must be literally gloved in flexible material to allow every part of it to be moved. This is particularly true of the male dancer who must feel the floor. He must be able to push down into the floor in order to gather power for a bravura performance. This is my partner, Patricia McBride.
For the ballerina, there is the same concern with placement, with disciplined training, the same coordination and timing of each part of the body, but to different effect. Look at my shoes, for instance. They are designed to help me stand on point, on my toes. Like Eddie's shoes, mine must fit like a glove, respond perfectly to the movements of my feet, and yet give support as well. They are made by hand, and no two pairs are alike. I can't just put on a new pair and dance. I work with them, feel my feet inside the shoes. A pair of shoes lasts about an hour or less, and I can go through a pair of shoes in an evening's performance. And its invention in the 19th century opened a whole new world of choreographic possibilities.
The toe shoe enables the ballerina to turn more times than a man, to move with great swiftness and lightness. But at the same time, this freedom and delicate balance requires assistance and support from the man. She needs a partner, as in this excerpt from the Tchaikovsky Pas de Deux, choreographed by George Balanchine. looks easy, doesn't it? That's what we try to accomplish. Let's go back and look at the work which went into it. The only trouble with that is that we did it nice and slowly. We don't have music, so the whole thing is faster. The tempo's quicker. It has to go smoothly.
You know what happens? I always do this song and I miss the position here. From here, here, and my arm should go through here, right?
Right.
Before I turn.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much better. You know, when it's right over. You know, if my hand is placed.
Makes a difference.
And you're forward. There we go. No problem.
I'll try and do it.
Yeah, try and do it. Once more.
Yeah. I'll just step up this time.
We develop a rapport as we work. It's an experience as satisfying in its own way as the total freedom of the solo dancer. We become sensitive to each other. To partner demands constant awareness. Your mind can't be tired. Must be right there every minute, anticipating and being slightly ahead of her every move.
Once more.
We've just seen a work by a 19th century composer, Tchaikovsky, choreographed by a 20th century choreographer, George Balanchine. An interesting combination. However, to really understand the 19th century romantic style, the ballet Giselle is more to the point. Here, its challenges are more formalized, more of a mime challenge, more posturing, more posing. In that sense, to tell a dance story. For instance, we have the gestures, I, you, love, I swear, or I'm sad, I'm in despair. Where are you? Stop. The story of Giselle, a peasant girl who dies of a broken heart when she learns that Albrecht, who in reality is a prince and who has been courting her and posing as a peasant, is a perfect example of this older 19th century tradition. Albrecht's entrance in the second act, when he's looking for Giselle's grave, illustrates this point. Those magnificent gestures of power, satisfaction, of understanding opened the Ballet Apollo by the remarkable choreographer George Balanchine. They're a perfect example of the 20th century neoclassic style. Here the approach is more technically challenging because we use dance images, using dance techniques. instead of mime and posing. How does one approach portraying the role of a god? Well, Balanchine's marvelous images of eagles and matadors were built into the choreography to establish the elegant, youthful, virile figure of a god. Even using the incredible, fascinating images which have no literal connotations at all. Simply the feeling of power pulsing through the body and hands. For me as a dancer, such abstract images have more to say and more power and depth than the established gestures involved in portraying a 19th century title role. Now, Apollo. A choreographer can't sit down and write a series of steps as a playwright puts down the words of his play. He has to have a vision, but he also has to have the live bodies of his dancers to work with, to make his thoughts become realities. Most choreography, once created, is literally preserved and passed down from dancer to dancer, from mind to mind, through generations. The only alternative is an elaborate form of notation. The actual living traditions of ballet belong to the dancers, and it's in their minds that it is essentially preserved. This is more true now that dance gestures have become freer, and both choreographer and performer are no longer bound by the formal traditions of an earlier century. And finally, there is a special quality of beauty and motion which a dancer learns only through rigid discipline. The discipline with which we began. Only this can give him, in the end, the total control which enables him to seem and to feel so completely free. That's the paradox of dance. Total control and total freedom. And it's the most fantastic experience a dancer has, to know that he has that control and can then give in to that total freedom. And now a section of George Balanchine's Rubies, with music by Stravinsky. In the end, though, the really marvelous thing about ballet is not that it's just something solemn and complicated that you have to know a great deal about to enjoy. For us, there's great wit to it. There's great fun. And most of all, it's tremendously exciting for us to perform, and we hope for you to view.